Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday, and we appreciate you coming to another episode of Realtor of the Week. This week, I'm pretty stoked because we have got an amazing Chanhassen Realtor, Mitch Brumbaugh from RE/MAX Advantage Plus. Thank you very much for coming, my friend.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, no, and I learned a lot about Mitch, obviously one via social media, but his production is fantastic. He knows the community, loves the community, and having raised a number of kids there, that's why I'm on. And so I appreciate you tremendously, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so let's dive in. How did you get into this crazy world of real estate, man?
That's a great question. I was really lucky, so I kind of fell into it. I had just gotten back from my military training in the Army and was in the process of really kind of just trying to figure out what I was going to do. I was in the reserves and thought more or less that I would just kind of end up going that path itself. And I ended up deciding to go to grad school, and while I was in grad school, I kind of started the shotgun approach with applying at different companies and landed an interview at Gas and Management in Eden Prairie, a property management company here in town, the number one family-owned company in the state, and ended up as their rental manager. So I was in charge of, marketing, leasing, and management of individual rental properties across the Twin Cities in all of the different HOAs that they managed.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing at that point in time, specifically because people had just gone through the crash a few years before and really weren't necessarily in a position to be able to sell their homes because they were still underwater.
Right.
Renting those properties out and having a management, a staff person managing the property in the same building as the HOA it made it a lot easier to get that property leased, managed, and taken care of.
Correct.
And the HOA board's happy because they had someone they could go directly to in the same building.
Yeah, no, I love it. And so kind of one thing parlayed into another. Well, I'll tell you what, as I forgot to say, I'm with Edge Home Finance. So if we ever need an HOA questionnaire filled out, do you got any contacts? I'm just saying,
Yeah.
But anyway, so that led you into real estate?
Yeah, so from there, I had great mentorship with, Kirk Gasson and his father, Reggie, and his brother, Clark, and sister, Beth. So when we were there, at some point, probably a year or so into being there, I had kind of decided, hey, this is great. I love this. I want to do this. So I also want to sell houses because at that point in time, a lot of my clients had kind of started saying, hey, I'm not underwater anymore. I want to get rid of this. I don't want to be a landlord. I only did it because I had to.
Yeah.
And so because there was that synergy there, I kind of said, okay, let's do this. And we relaunched the real estate sales side of their brokerage. And that's kind of where that took off from that point.
Nice. How did you, knowing RE/MAX Advantage Plus, I got enormous respect for Eric Malmberg. The guy's just a rock star.
Yeah.
Because you're in Chanhassen, you ended up at RE/MAX Advantage Plus.
Yeah, so I've been at a number of different brokerages throughout my career, and 3.5 years ago, 3 years ago, we landed at RE/MAX Advantage Plus. We were at a point where we were looking to fuse our team and start growing our team while improving, and increasing our production as well. And we wanted to be paired with, a brokerage with brand recognition and a great reputation in the community.
Yeah. And that is, I was involved a lot with them, with Bill Foster prior, and Joe Wheelu and Cindy, and that office is amazing, and it's a great location.
Yes.
And it's been established here for a long time.
Yeah, it's awesome being in there, and we get to be in there working with other great rockstar teams, and that is definitely great because we get to see the cool things they're doing and, share and collaborate, and it's, a great environment to work out of.
Yeah, that's when I was there. Samantha was just starting, and she has just exploded. Her and her husband Jay have exploded that business there. So, so tell me a little bit about the team versus your individual. I mean, I know you come from the military background. What made you decide to do a team?
So at one point in my career, I was on a team. Okay. And I was recruiting people onto our team that happened, Ryan Olson, he's been one of my best friends since I was 16 years old, and my father, who I've known my whole life, right? Yeah. So I was in the process of recruiting them onto the team I was on, and it just seemed like a better timing, better opportunity to go and start a team and kind of do our own thing. And for a few years, it was myself, Ryan, and Dave, and conquering the world. And then we got lucky enough to, or I got lucky enough to meet Deanna Wyman, my fiance, and she has an amazing real estate career behind her as well, having been the director of training at Remax Results, and
cool.
Been licensed for 12 years herself.
Right.
So we decided to fuse our team finally when we realized that we were having our daughter, because it made more sense than sitting in each other's cars during COVID.
Yeah, right.
So, then we got to a point where we started adding onto our team, and, we have great agents that are doing a lot of great work. Steve Olson's been crushing it this year.
Yeah, good.
Kate Fletcher's out there crushing it. And, we're in the process of adding a new person as well who's going to do some ISA work for us, as well as get licensed too, Anna Vera, and she's definitely near and dear to our family too. I think the biggest thing about our team is that as much as we can be, the connections that have brought us all together still make us a family team.
Yeah, I like that. So your fiance, your father, all in the biz. How do you manage all that, right? I mean, 24/7, honey, we got to do this, that, the other thing. How do you work that?
Very recently, I've started saying I'm only the boss at work.
Well, you're a smart man, my friend.
Maybe only recently, though. To be fair.
Yeah.
But I think that's, being a team leader, being a realtor, being in this industry, I think we all have a little bit of type A to us too.
Yes.
And just really learning when to let go and when you're not supposed to be the boss, even when you are, right? Like events at, within transactions, when you're partnered with another agent on your team, it's a lot of the time I find myself asking the question, well, what do you think we should do?
Right. Yeah, good. Versus I know it all.
I don't.
Yeah. No, yeah. But that's an amazing trait, because I think we had a gentleman on a couple weeks back that talked about egos and how they can be the biggest hindrance to succeeding in the business.
I definitely see some validity in that for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and on the flip side, like if you have zero ego, how are you going to get yourself out there?
Amen. Yeah. Got to be. It's funny. Jake and I, who has been tremendous for me, editing and promoting this thing, talk about that often, where the extrovert comes in, where the introvert comes in, or a yawn all the time.
Yeah.
You find yourself on all the time?
No, I don't think I'm on all the time. I'm definitely an extroverted introvert. Right. So like I thrive on connection with people and being around people, and then when I go home, it needs to be off. So like I can't go home until I'm done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then but I can be around my family and around my people, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you're constantly out looking out for other people and making sure you're making good decisions and looking out for other people's best interests and talking to people and smiling regardless of what we have going on at home.
Right.
And that's something that I think like our clients maybe probably realize, but don't necessarily realize as much as like they would if it was all in their face.
Yeah.
But to be professional and not, lose our clients' trust, we have to leave all of that at home.
Yep. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, and I respect that tremendously. And I think, it's oftentimes client/friends. And I think that the partnerships and how do you handle that, managing your former clients, friends, family? Are you push, I'm a realtor, or is it more just I'm here if you need me, educating, etc.?
Yeah, I very much like to think of myself as a no pressure agent. I tell people that I want to work with people that want to work with me.
Yeah.
And we mentioned video being important and social media being important, and how as much as I understand that, taking the time to do that with everything else going on doesn't necessarily always fall in as a priority, right? So for me, I think it's getting yourself out there, having those conversations, but also trying to figure out the way that works best for you.
Yep.
And I think as the market changes and as things shift, we're all going to need to do a little bit more of the things that we haven't been doing.
It's been an interesting business. I mean, over the last 2 or 3 years, people simply need to breathe and they get business. But now it's going to get back to the roots of how to be an amazing agent, right?
Right.
Do you run into conflicts with family? One family member wants to buy a home. Who do they call? Your fiance, you, your dad?
They get all of us.
Yeah, good. So it's a team.
Yeah.
It's a true team.
Yeah, 100%. Our friends call us, hey, like, cool. You can work with all of us. You can work with one of us.
I love
but
that.
you have all of us. Yeah.
Well, and that's the one thing in talking with you prior to this, Mitch, that I've learned is that you're humble, right? And I think that is a trait that is good. I mean, you're not an egomaniac. Me. It's a good deal on a team, right?
I try not to be.
Is it hard?
I don't think so. But
yeah.
I mean, I definitely have moments, where I'm not perfect too.
Well, amen to that.
Yeah.
So touch base on how do you drum up business, right? You've got open houses, you got social media, you've got your friends and family that know, like, and trust you.
Yeah. I mean,
What do you do?
It's kind of like one of those things where it's really about the proof is in the pudding, right? So, like,
Right.
if you're making phone calls, if you're having conversations, if you're handing out business cards, if you're telling people what you do and not being a secret agent, right? Like everyone's favorite term.
Yeah, right.
But, those are the things that you need to be doing, but then you just expand on that, right? Like, there are a lot of agents that are crushing it with TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, right? And you have to figure out the things that work well for you.
Yeah.
But it takes 3 to 5 years before your phone is going to ring. And that's only if you did all of those things consistently for the first 3 to 5 years.
Right.
And you also need past clients in order for your phone to ring. But they're not going to call you if you aren't maintaining contact with them.
Correct.
And I think every agent goes through a period of time where, like, they realize, oh man, I didn't keep in touch with that person. And then you get back on track and you fix it.
Yeah.
But going into, the market that we're seeing on the horizon, I think, maintaining those contacts, following up with your past clients, making phone calls, having new conversations, that's an extremely important thing. Like, that's basically the bread and butter of what we do, right?
Yes.
Otherwise, you're spending money for someone else to go and do those things and then tell you when they have someone for you to meet with them.
Right.
And there are a lot of agents that do really well on that, and I'm not the type of agent that likes to spend a ton of money on those types of services.
Well, it's all about being authentic too, right? And you've got that personality that, friends like hearing from you, former clients like hearing from you.
I hope so.
Well, but
Most of the time I'm calling to ask them what they need. What do you need help with? The hailstorm that we just had, reaching out to people where I know I sold a house like in the last 2 years, like, hey, are you good? Stuff like that, or just following up with people, the different tools we have. Hey, you haven't refinanced, and it, maybe not at this point in time, but like a few years ago, being able to call people and say like, hey, you haven't refinanced and you have a 5% interest rate and it's at 3 right now. Right. So like, we're always trying to find a way to create value when we're reaching out to our clients, not just to call them and say, hey, do you know anyone looking to buy or sell a house?
Right. I think it gets back to that old, and I use the image of this versus a handshake.
Right.
It's all about a handshake. It's about partnerships. And,
right.
Knowing the market has been explosive, are you dropping notes to people with their, like, did you realize your value of your home is this? Because I think one of the quandaries is, how do you pull these people out of their homes?
Yeah, and I mean, that's the biggest thing, right? Lack of inventory is a huge issue. But I think that coupled with like, you can't really downsize because you can't downsize your cost. Right. So like, you have people that typically would be in the season of moving and have been for like the last 3 to 5 years, but because it costs them more to build or buy something that they would consider downsizing to, right? Like, let's say you're in a 3 to 4,000 square foot, 1 or 2 story home, right? Like a fairly average in terms of like, your middle, of the road home. Most people that are in those homes can't go get a 3,000 square foot home.
Correct.
For the same or less than what their current home costs. So that's why they're not leaving. Yep. And on top of that, like, to go and do the construction and rehab on existing homes to accomplish the same thing, those home values have shot up, and the cost of construction has increased even more on like the individual contractor side.
Correct.
So, people aren't moving, they don't want to, and they don't need to, and that's the biggest problem.
That is the quandary. I think what I read is somebody was maybe joking, maybe not so much, but they had said what used to be a 300 is now 400.
Or 5.
Or 5.
Yeah.
Or 5.
I mean, when you're talking about like one level living and, those style homes and like the detached villas and townhomes and stuff like that. Yeah. Like the 400 or 500 that you used to see in like Chaska, Prior Lake, Shakopee is now like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I live out on Highway 7 in St. Bonnie, Minnetrista.
Yep.
And that area is exploding.
Yes,
right?
definitely.
And I think that's what we're seeing right now is growth. You are right in Chanhassen across on Lyman.
Yep.
That area is exploding. It's crazy.
I mean, we have a Lennar development right outside my neighborhood.
Yeah. That's growing quickly.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about who are your mentors? I mean, I speak about Eric Malmberg, and I just, the dude is just solid, right? Who do you go to? I mean, who are your coaches? Because y'all need them, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I've definitely been really blessed over the years with great people to talk to when I've had any kind of issues or needed to bounce ideas off of. Eric is definitely one of them. Kirk Gasson has always been someone that I can go to with questions and concerns, even after having worked there. I still have that relationship with them, and still do stuff with them anytime I have the opportunity. Kevin Webb at All American Title has 100% always been absolutely amazing to me and my family, and anytime I've needed anything, he's been there for me.
Yeah.
So I definitely would include him. When I was starting out in the business, Bruce Berkland definitely took some time to sit down and talk with me, and he has always been great to me in that aspect too.
Yeah. But we had a gentleman in last week, Nick, And I think that the ability to go to those anchors, those rock solid people that have been through all of this stuff is critical.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Are you that person now for your team, or do you still encourage them to get to events nationally and do stuff away from just being you?
Yeah, I 100% encourage everyone on my team to create their own networks, their own group of people, right? I mean, to a point, like there's a little bit of selfish side that hey, those are my people, right? But like the real reason behind it is if I'm building my relationship with these people and I'm trying to teach the people on my team how to build their business, I can't teach them how to do that by having them constantly going to the same people. Right?
Yeah.
And if they're going to the same, and if everyone on my team is going to the same people, then, and they're sitting there expecting referrals or phone calls or like all of that extra stuff, they're going to be sitting there upset because they're competing for attention.
Correct.
Right? And if I get people out building their own networks, their own, referral partners, their own lenders, then all of a sudden they're stronger on their own.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Well, and I think, being in the mortgage world, what I find here is people just go to Tom at our office, right? Simple answers. And yet have you researched? Have you looked into all this stuff? Don't just go to Mitch to get all the answers. There's so many different avenues that you can be looking into, and people that are they may do stuff differently.
Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, our team has amazing people on it. So 99% of the time, like
you're going to them.
Yeah, well, I'm either going to them and saying, "Hey, what do you think?" Right? Like, or they're coming to me with something and just saying like, "Hey, I already kind of like know what I'm doing, but I just need to talk to someone about it." Right? So the collaboration aspect of our team is huge. Like I said, most of the time we're not talking to each other because we really need the other person to tell us what to do. We already know. We just need someone to talk to and like sort through it so that when we can present it to our client, we're framing it in a way that is easy.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, Infinity Homes Team, right, is the name of your group. But I think that that's what it's all about, because this business is wicked, right? You get out there outside your comfort zone, and it's tough. People aren't getting offers accepted. They're not getting listings, and they need that camaraderie.
Yeah, I mean, just people to bounce things off of and lift you up, right? Like, it is super easy in our industry to get down on yourself. Like, we all talk about riding the waves, right? And to be able to walk into the office, or even to have someone call you and say, "Get your butt into the office."
Yeah.
Right? Like, that kind of support, I think, is huge.
Yeah. So what is your superpower? Like, you're an Army guy, you've got the discipline, you've done a lot of this stuff, you've built your business, your team. I say your team because I don't think you consider it your team. I think it's more of our team. Yeah.
Right.
But what's your superpower?
That is a great question. I'd like to say that I care, and that's maybe more evident to some of the more seasoned people on my team that see the actions that I take and understand why or what caused me to do that or that kind of thing, or how I handle things with clients and stuff like that. I care a lot.
Yeah.
And that's also a detriment sometimes too, right? Like, you have to couple that with self-control.
But I think they see that, and like you said, through our friendship, I think that it's openness. I think it's like I talked about earlier, it's humility, and it's also the ability to try to make them all better, and they see that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, from our clients to our team members, right? Like
Yeah.
every house that we look at, hey, how do you feel? Is
Yeah.
this where you want to be? Cool. This is what we think we need to do in order to get this done. And when things don't go right, because not everything goes right, Like,
What?
you can plan all you want in this industry, and sometime something's going to go wrong, and sometimes everything's going to go wrong.
Yep.
Right. And just being able to be transparent, show that you care through your actions and your words, right? And being able to end up delivering what you say you're going to deliver.
Amen. Well, and I think that we've talked about this on prior episodes, is you all are the ringleaders of title, of inspection, of lending, of appraisal. There's a lot of pieces to that can go sideways quick, right? And
Yeah.
it's how do you handle those in a professional manner? One of the ladies that we had on a couple weeks ago said she needs to pull back and say, I'll get back to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
So instead of the impulsive just explosion.
Yeah, no, I mean, most of the time, that's kind of exactly what we do too.
Yeah.
And I think to, the credit of the partners that we work with, that's kind of most of the time what we're doing anyways, because they've got it.
Yeah.
They got it locked in.
Yeah.
We don't need to be hands in,
worried about it.
and, digging in and getting in their way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's all about communication,
Yep.
right? And that goes from all different angles.
Absolutely.
So we talked about your rock star, superstar, superpower, excuse me.
Sure.
What have been some obstacles that you've, since you've gotten into the biz? What's been hurdles?
COVID.
Yeah, COVID. Yeah.
No, I mean, I think the biggest thing is like, you get into this job and like you understand that you're an entrepreneur, right?
Yep.
I'm the boss. It's my job to make sure I have a job, right? But you don't actually understand that.
Right.
And so I think part of the hurdles, just over 10 years in at this point, 3 children in, right? Like balancing, being an entrepreneur and a business owner and a realtor and taking care of all of my clients and caring about all of them and my team members and caring for my family and making sure they're good. There's actually a lot that goes into that, right? And like, no one tells you that.
3 hours of sleep is fine,
Yeah.
and the kids. So 3 kids.
Yeah, so I mean, I think for me, the hurdles really have been me.
Yeah.
And just my need to be more flexible, my need to be more malleable still, right? And understanding that. And I didn't have that understanding going in.
But I think that's, like you said, 10 years into the business, many new people don't, right? It's all about a paycheck. It's all about, where's my next deal? Where's my next deal? And if something goes sideways quick, it's the maturity to be able to handle that stuff. But I love the balance that you have with your family, right? Especially with your wife, fiance, being involved, that's critical, right?
Yeah, it's huge.
Good.
And we're still figuring that out.
Yeah, but that's always the case. I was just with my daughter and her 2 kids, and my son-in-law's a state trooper, and it is balance. I mean, It is hard, and it's not an easy deal. Okay, so now I got to go work, right? And so what advice would you give, and I know you've got a team with some people that are experienced, but what advice would you give to a new agent? We got over 900 and some people in this group.
Yeah, no, I mean, new agents, I think it's, it's not to give you the cliched, it's perseverance and determination and, yeah, dream work makes the team work, right?
Right.
you need to buckle down and you need to do the things that your mentors and that your team leaders or your sales managers are suggesting to you. Like, they've literally done it before or have helped other people before. And if you find out they haven't, find a new one. Right?
Yeah.
But people that are in our industry that have been doing this care, right? Like, they care about new agents and they want to see new agents be successful. I think a fair majority of us in this industry don't really look at things as competition, all the way down to a point where, like, I have a referral service where I go on a lot of listing appointments and I'm competing with one or two of the same agent almost every time. I don't know how it works that way, whatever, but it's funny, and I have just kind of gotten to the point where I call it out, and I'm like, they're great people. You'll be great with any of us.
Right.
Because it's funny to me. It isn't a competition. And the funny thing is like, I do legitimately know those people. They're great people.
Yes.
And we want to see new agents be great and be successful, but we also want to see you put in the work, have the energy, have the motivation, ask us for help, ask us what we think, right? We're not going to do the work for you, but we will help you, and we'll take time to help you. And most of the time I've ever asked for any other agent, even in the last year or two, for help, they've given it to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Beautiful. Well, and I think there's two things I take out of that. Persistent, consistent, patient, right? Or, I know they're words, but they're critical words.
Yeah.
But I think more importantly is you can't burn your bridges with these agents, because you are going to run into them over and over. And especially with your farm, which is basically, west of 494. I mean, you're going to run onto a lot of people.
I mean, our team services the entire Twin Cities metro and western Wisconsin.
Yeah, good.
Deanna's licensed in Wisconsin. I tend to, so I was, at one point in time, was in an KW office in the north side of town. So, I have business up in that side of town, but I grew up on this side of town.
Correct.
So, and, Ryan lives in Shakopee, and,
yeah,
but for the most part, the majority of our team lives in the Southwest Metro.
Love it. Well, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you coming on to be the Realtor of the Week. It is super cool. I so enjoy when you have the ability to learn what makes you tick and what makes you rock. You know what I mean? And that's seeing the team and your family and the kids all blend as one pot is super cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A lot of that is to Deanna's credit.
Yeah, but again, it's a team deal, right?
Yes.
And I think that I've been married 30 years, right? And you're smart enough in this phase, being young, keep them happy, right? But and know that they're loved, and I mean, the pressure is intense on them, as it is on all of us.
Well, when I'm here filming a podcast, she's at home with the kids if we don't have daycare. And she's just as capable to run out, be selling houses as I am.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, you could have brought them in. Nah, that's okay. We're good. But anyways, thank you very much for your time. I truly appreciate you. Those in this Minnesota Realtors group, I cannot tell you how much we both appreciate you being here. Please come and visit us, not only in the MN Realtors group, invite your other agents, but more importantly, on Instagram, it's Realtor of the Week, all one word. And on our YouTube channel, it's Realtor of the Week, and it's all spaced. So we certainly appreciate you all. And Mitch, thank you, my friend. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
You got it. Have a good day.